Good evening and welcome to the Township of Chatham Township Committee meeting for Thursday, September 28th. Greg, has adequate notice been given?
Yes, adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act as follows. Notice was given to both the Chatham Courier and the Morris County Daily Record on January 6, 2017. Notice was posted on the bulletin board in the main hallway of the municipal building on January 6, 2017. And notice was filed with the Township Clerk on January 6, 2017.
Thank you. Will you please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Salin?
Here.
Mr. Kelly?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Swartz?
Here.
Mayor Ritter?
Here. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to reports. Takun?
There's nothing to report?
Okay. Mike?
Sure. From the DPW, Mayor, we have word that the new compactor at the recycling center will be operational next Tuesday. So we're asking the public to please be patient as we work our way through new traffic protocols and the workman's schedule. So, but they should be up and running on Tuesday and going forward. Also, the auction of the obsolete DPW equipment closed as of this evening. An estimated $2,000 to $2,500 worth of bids. There is a process where the people have to actually come forward and put down their money on the barrelhead, so we'll see if there's any slippage, but it was a success and a good house cleaning effort. And just to report that as of October 1st, the Department of Public Works will be fully staffed for the first time in a good long time, following our action at the last meeting to fill the vacancy there. Also, on the open space front, later on this evening we have an ordinance to buy an important piece of open space, but also we have an update from the Morris County Parks Commission, just alerting us that the property next to the Green Village Post Office is moving forward. They're waiting closing on that, but the plan still is to put a parking lot on that property to access the trailhead there, and also when that time comes to explore the possibility of additional trail off of that trailhead. And then also on our Giralda property, they are getting close to flagging a new trail that would go from the existing loop trail over to Treadwell, which kind of complements the work we're doing on the pathway alongside Woodland. So all in all, it opens up a lot of different hikes for people just to take nice options there. So some nice progress on all those fronts.
Great.
Thank you. That's it.
From the post office, the property next to the post office, or Tom, is there any indication exactly when the property will change hands? I think it still hasn't closed from the private owner to the county?
I don't know. I believe it's now tied up in clearing Mrs. Platt's estate.
Okay, thank you.
That's my understanding from it as well.
Kevin?
Thank you, Mayor. Library committee met, Library Board of Trustees met Monday night or Tuesday night, Planning Board Monday, but nothing of significance to mention. So.
Very good. Karen?
Just a couple of things on our senior front. Please mark October 21st, Saturday, at Lafayette Avenue School for our semi-annual Shred event hosted by our Chatham Senior Center. It's a great fundraiser, obviously, for a great cause, but also it's a really good need for you to have collected all of those credit card applications and bank statements and so on that have been lying around the house. You don't know whether to throw them out or shred them on your own. So bring them on down, and it's $5 for a small bag, $10 for a larger box, and your contributions and participation are really always welcome. That's October 21st, Saturday, at the Lafayette Avenue School. I also urge you to follow the Senior Center on your Facebook feed because they post some great events that they have. The trip to the Botanical Gardens looks like a beautiful trip. I wasn't able to make it, but the photos look magnificent. And there's always something new at the Chatham Senior Center. Tri-Town 55 Plus is reporting that the phase 1 of senior ride share is coming to an end September 30th. And that has been a great program as it enhances the connectivity of our seniors who would prefer not to drive or choose not to drive at night. Phase 2 funding now from Tri-Town 55 Plus will contribute $5 toward the cost of each ride towards GoGo Grandparent, which is accessible on a cell phone, no need for a smartphone. Each rider will then pay the balance as computed by Lyft or Uber. So Tri-Town 55 Plus will subsidize the first $5, and there's a maximum of 4 rides per month. So that's 2 round trips or 4 rides per month. It's been a great innovation for our seniors. I know Tri-Town 55 Plus has been tremendously active in enhancing the connectivity of our seniors. And so hopefully this program will be able to continue with that $5 subsidy. And that's what I got.
Great, thank you. Just one item, just to recap, this past weekend we held our second annual Out of the Darkness Walk. By all measures, it was a tremendous success, had over 325 walkers, not only from the Chathams, but surrounding towns as well. We raised over $72,000 to date. You can still make contributions online if you're so inclined. So bringing our 2-year total to over $145,000. So I just want to thank everyone who was able to participate, excuse me, as well as our sponsors and walk committee and everyone as well. So Tom Salvas actually videotaped the event, and he's been fast and furiously editing it, and we'll probably have something on the website later this week for those of you who couldn't attend but want to look up and see what it's all about.
Nice work. Congratulations.
Thank you. John?
Thank you, Mayor. You'll see on the consent agenda, we are awarding a contract for crack sealing project that was contemplated as part of our overall road maintenance program this year. It's just another technique of extending the life of the roads. We typically try to target roads within the 4 to 8 years where the cracking is starting to show, and we seal it to just extend that life. So that's just, again, another component of trying to do maintenance and avoid that resurfacing in the immediate future. Woodland Sidewalk is in full swing, and basically the bulk of the project should be completed within 2 weeks. As part of that scope of work that was received, was part of the grant application, and was to improve the shoulders. If you recall, we did repave Woodland, but we didn't pave the shoulders just because of the cost associated with it. But this year, in mid-October, likely, we will be resurfacing the shoulders, and that's part of our plan of keeping the bikes in the shoulder and then keeping the bikeway and getting the pedestrians off the roadway. So that should be done mid-October. And lastly, the Chatham Heights Pump Station project is in full swing. You probably wouldn't notice even if you passed the pump station. It's very remote off of River Road. But everything is going smooth. We should be completing within a month or so. There's been no issues, no change orders, nothing. It's just the project's going smooth. That's all I have to report.
Great, thank you, John.
John, any, did St. Hubert's ever? St. Hubert's never came back.
No. We tried. We've always tried to have communications with them every step of the way, and even during construction, we reached out to them and just to make sure that they don't have any concerns. And so I believe everything is worked out, and they're happy with the work that's being done, and really no issues.
Okay.
Any other questions? Chief, anything? Tom?
Yes, Mayor, I actually have a few things tonight. John's always a tough act to follow, but one of the things you'll see sitting on the table in front of him is a set of plans for a project that is going before the Madison Planning Board next week. You were all copied on the notice of the public hearing for that project, and it indirectly involves us because it's at 4 Giralda, which is a parcel on the Giralda property that is mostly in Madison, but a portion of it is in Chatham Township, adjacent to Dodge Drive. And back around 1998, 1999, the prior owners had come in for a site plan approval in anticipation of building an office building on that site sometime in the future. And part of the approvals that they received at the time were actually constructed. There was a detention basin, a driveway, and I'm not sure what other components of that, but we're looking at the application that is now pending before Madison, and we're, I think, of the opinion, and we're going to send a notice to them that they need to come back to the Chatham Township Planning Board to amend that site plan from back in 1999, 2000, and to at least demonstrate that the detention basin and the stormwater management things that were approved are being complied with in this new plan. And what is being proposed is actually a two-phase project. The first phase is what they're looking to move forward with now, and that is a 38-bed rehabilitation facility owned by Atlantic Healthcare, to be followed at some time in the future with an office building. So where previously it was one office building, they're now looking to do it in two phases, and they're applying for the first phase. So I just wanted to let everybody know that we are, sending a notice to them that we think they need to come before the Township Planning Board. The other things that I have are financial in nature. You'll recall that as we begin the budget cycle for next year, one of the first things that we need to do is to complete the best practices inventory and submit it to the State Division of Local Government Services. So we've done that. We score 24 out of 25, so nearly a perfect score. The one question that we are not able to answer affirmatively has to do with our audit and whether or not there were any recommendations and findings from the prior year that we had failed to report or failed to correct, and therefore they showed up as a recommendation again. And there is one item, you'll recall when our auditor was here and presented the audit, that we had some discussion about it, and it revolves around segregation of duties within the finance department, and that is largely due to the fact that we have a very small staff. It's a problem not just for us, but many, probably most small towns around the state have difficulty in really, addressing that issue. Our auditor watches things closely, as you know, and is not concerned, believes that we have the best management practices in place, but we are not able to segregate duties as much as we would like to, simply because we just don't have enough people to split the duties up among. And then the other part of that, the other audit comment has to do with outstanding tax title liens. There are a number of those that are actually very old. They've been being carried as tax title liens for a great number of years, and we are still attempting to clear those up. They're difficult to track down prior owners. People kind of scatter to the wind, and for all practical purposes, they've really abandoned these properties. But in order to foreclose, you need to go through the due process of notifying them and having a hearing and all that. And it's not the easiest thing to find somebody who has disappeared, as you can imagine. The other two pieces of news on as a preliminary to the budget, I learned today or yesterday through the state's state health benefits website that the health insurance premiums for next year will see no increase for active employees, and for retired employees there's actually going to be a small decrease in the premium. So we'll be in good shape on health insurance for the 2018 budget. And then you also, I think we're all copied on a notice from the county concerning the 911 dispatch that they are going to be holding the line on the price of that, so there'll be no increase for our contribution or payment for that shared service. So two good pieces of news there.
Great. Thank you, Tom. And just a reminder to all residents who want to learn more about our budget, the budget process, they can go onto our website where they can find the auditor's report, past budgets prior years, and Tom's various presentations as well. So I know we often hear some people complain about lack of transparency, and of course it can be nothing but the opposite to that. And I would encourage all residents who have an interest in learning more to go to our website.
And the last piece, I'll actually be able to give you a more definitive number at the next meeting, but the tax assessor files his added and omitteds by October 1st. So they'll be wrapping that up tomorrow, and I can just preliminarily tell you that you'll be happy with the number.
Great, thank you. Now we're moving on to the hearing of citizens. If anyone wants to come forward? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close out the hearing of citizens. We have a ordinance 2017-12. This is a bond ordinance for open space purchase. It's been much discussed in recent meetings. Open up for public hearing. We'll close the public hearing. Any discussion among the committee on this?
Nope.
I would just like to reiterate my thoughts on how indicative this purchase is of the coordinated and cooperative approach and dedication this committee, our Open Space Committee, and our administration have toward preserving the great natural resource we have in our open spaces here in Chatham Township, a community once known far more for its dairies and farms and rose growers than anything else. When I say that we're able to do this without adding to the tax burden our families are already shouldering, I'm referring to the in part to the annual opportunity this committee has to return our open space tax to its original figure of 2 cents, which the committee has chosen not to do. This is always a matter of thoughtful discussion and often dissension, as there should be in a committee of individuals. But there is never dissension when it comes to our commitment to identifying and preserving open space, especially when to do otherwise would have an immediate and detrimental impact to the lives of our families. Again, at the end of the day, through a combination of financial tools, including grants, this bond issue, etc., this committee and our administration have been able to orchestrate a $2 million transaction without increasing our municipal taxes. And for this, I'm very proud. Your Honor, thank you.
Anyone else?
I'd just like to relay the Open Space Committee and my own support for this project. Certainly there have been support among us on the Township Committee for different approaches on the open space tax, but I think the bottom line is that we're unanimous in our support for this as a important acquisition, and that will be benefiting the Township for a long time to come.
My only comment is obviously reiterating what everyone else has said, but I want to just say to Kevin, thank you very much for helping spearhead this on behalf of the committee. I know you had a lot of conversations over the past couple of months, and Albert as well, all your efforts. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
What's that?
We're adopting, so you had to open the floor for public hearing first.
We did. We opened, we closed it.
It was so fast.
We're going to get
Gotta
this
keep
done
up.
before 8. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Solin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ritter?
Yes. Any comments to the consent agenda? Greg, you want to read those off?
Resolution 2017-171, receipt of reports. 172, approving meeting minutes. 173, approving executive session minutes. 174, awarding contract for crack sealing project. And 175, authorizing sewer connection for 43 Susan Drive.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Solin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ritter?
Yes. Next item up is the moratorium on the road opening permits. This is something we had discussed some months ago. John, you want to?
Sure. Yeah,
Catch us
it's,
up?
it was, well, it's also adds additional revisions to our road opening permit process. You know, as you know, the roads represent one of the more significant assets that the township has, and making sure that when a utility company or a developer comes in and they open the road for whatever reason, that it's restored properly. And that's what the ordinance is just reinforcing the codes and standards to make sure that the roads are constructed properly. And we did include a provision that just a moratorium, if we pave a road within 5 years, it just prohibits opening up that road. It does allow for emergencies. Emergencies do happen. And in case of emergency, they have to follow other provisions that we can do. There's technologies that if you open up a road, you can use, it's called infrared technology, where they can reheat up the road so that it doesn't even look like an opening occurred, but it is expensive. But those are the type of things and the ordinance is not something that's inconsistent with other municipalities. You know, we're really just bringing this up to what I've seen and have practiced in other municipalities of just, you know, making sure that the importance of if you're opening up the road, you're reconstructing it and putting it back properly so that we do, you know, we don't diminish the life of that road. We're going to just maintain what the existing conditions are.
So does it prohibit from opening a road up like, say, on Huron or Van Houten for 5 years, or if they do it, they've got to
No, it
return
prohibits.
it to its...
It prohibits, and it's, you know, we'd have to review the application on a case-by-case basis on why, you know, if there's a hardship.
I'm just thinking about the tear downs over on Dale Drive in those areas.
Yeah, and if the, you know, those would be reviewed if there is truly a hardship. We had a situation that, you know, we do have we've had circumstances that have come up and that we've strongly opposed that not opening the road after it's been paved, and we have been successful, but we really haven't had any teeth behind the conditions that we've imposed. And this is actually giving us the teeth that we need of how we should be regulating our roads. And so there are circumstances where a developer would come in just because it's minimal cost, upgrade your water service because it's minimal cost. You do it, but is it required for the tear down rebuild? No, they can work with the existing 3/4 inch service line. So it's a matter of just really enforcing and really, you know, making sure the roads are being maintained properly, and that if they do need to be opened, they're reconstructed properly.
So this would allow, if someone did want to do that, as long as they're going to bring it back up to the same standards.
Yeah, well, if it's less than 5 years, we want to try to discourage if it's not a hardship. But if it is a hardship and they need to open it up, if we have a situation which comes up, if it's the gas company that needs to come in and they have a hardship, they need to fix something right away, or if it's the water company, we don't want to prohibit them from doing something that's an emergency. They can do that, but we have provisions if they have to do it under an emergency, they have to restore the road at a higher level if they did it after 5 years.
So we had this problem in Wickham Woods about a month after we were done paving.
We did.
And the water company, they didn't really repave it back to the standards of the new pavement, but John went after them and they did, and after they did that, you couldn't really tell at all.
Yeah,
I mean, it was sealed to, you know.
So it's really just giving teeth to things that we try to practice now, but it's
I thought we had an issue or a matter of discussion that we were going to perhaps grant the road opening permits, but making the permit fee like a sliding scale
we did add that
from 1
in.
to 5 years.
Oh, yeah, we did add that in, and that, but we still have it as it's prohibited. And come forward if it's a hardship, and in fact, if it's a hardship, and if a hardship waiver is granted within that 5-year period, the ordinance says if the road is paved within 2 years, there's a $1,000 application fee,
Great.
and 3 to 4, it's $750, and 500 at 5 years.
And when you say hardship, you mean emergency?
It's really a case-by-case basis. Usually it's you know, I'll defer to Tom and we'll discuss that and to see if there's a true emergency, and then is there other alternatives that they can do to correct the situation. So
I mean, if there's a water main break, there's a water main break.
Is a water main break.
Yeah.
They're fixing it no matter.
That's what I'm saying, that's what I mean.
They're apply for a permit afterwards.
But in that case, we're going to hold them to the standard.
It's more about the elective upgrade of a water connection or sewer connection. If there's an existing house, it already has those connections, we want the builders to reuse the existing, rather than just automatically, you know, digging up the street and putting in a new, or to upgrade, as John said, a water service from 3/4 to 2 inches. You know, do you really need that volume of water? You know, prove it to us.
Right, so nobody's gonna come to Robert Road and say, we wanna put a new water main in because we just finished resurfacing
Correct.
Robert Road.
Correct.
So you would deny
So,
them pretty much.
yeah,
unless
But
they-
why wouldn't we, even in an emergency, why wouldn't we require, I would hope that we would require to bring it back to the same standard?
Yeah, we
Unless
will.
it's an
We will,
emergency
we
or
will,
hardship or what?
but the only difference is, that would be a very, especially we're talking about a road that may be 10 years, maybe 15 years, and then you open it up, and to actually use this infrared technology for
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
that's
Okay.
an
No, I get
extreme
that. I'm talking about a
hardship on
5-year or under.
Yeah, that's a extreme hardship
Okay.
to the utility.
Yep, got
Because the road is already in a state of
it. It needs,
deterioration.
got it.
John, you mentioned the sliding scale of the fee as well. If there was the scenario that we're talking about, a water leak, a burst main or something, does the utility company have to pay
They
a,
follow these ordinances.
They have to follow,
They
so-
follow the ordinance, they follow the restoration standard, they follow the application fees, they follow, they're not exempt from this.
and so we're increasing the burden on both fronts. The fee goes up and the cost of the infrared technology for the first couple of years also goes up.
For the
So
first 5 years.
that's deliberate on our part, and that you think that that's effective.
I think it's effective, and I think it's something that's, this is not unique. You know, I think a lot of municipalities would impose that on utility companies for the first 5 years.
Any other comments?
Just one thing I'm going to ask. So is there like a defined scope of work if, you know, X, Y, Z is considered as emergency and some of those, you know, X, you know, or 1 to 10 is just the regular work and it's not emergency? So is there like a defined scope that will there be one in the ordinance or?
The process is an application process, so they'll identify exactly what their proposed scope of work is going to do. Is it a main extension? Is it just a service connection? Is it if they want to replace curbing? Whatever the case may be, if they're opening up our right-of-way, that's they have to, you know, apply for a permit. So that scope is defined, and the hardship is more hardship is a hardship. You're prohibited within the first 5 years, and then you have to demonstrate a hardship. So I can't necessarily give an example of a hardship. May be that it's a water main break, the main is a problem, and they need to get in sooner than what they anticipated. That's a hardship. For the most part, we want to enforce the ordinance. No opening of the road, because that's probably one of the more significant factors that deteriorates a road, accelerates the deterioration of the road, is opening it up with utilities and doing utility repair work. So we want to discourage it, and we're going to, you know, with the ordinance, we're going to enforce it, but we're not going to be unreasonable. If someone comes forward with a hardship, you know, when I've worked in other towns, I talked to the administrator, and we determine, is it truly a hardship or not? What's your alternatives? And if it's not a hardship, you know, then we allow them to open up the road within that 5-year period. However, you have to pay an extended fee, and you have to restore the road to a higher standard to make sure that when they're done, the road is basically looks like it wasn't opened.
Okay, thank you.
John, I hate to throw a real wrench in the plans here, but when it comes to that sidewalk on Lafayette Avenue, and we have utility work that has to be done in order for that sidewalk to go in, and the entire stretch of that Lafayette Avenue area from Watchung Avenue up to Fairview is going to have a new sidewalk installed, who's going to pay that permit fee? And is it going to be per connection? I mean, obviously, if they've got utility work to do, that could be an issue.
You know, for us, we're exempt. So if we're doing a sidewalk project, if we're milling a road, we're doing road, we don't issue permits to ourselves. And so it's really for someone else that's going to open, you know.
But what if it's the utility companies that have to come in and move their poles or do other things?
Well, if it's part of our project and moving utility, that's exempt. You know, we would not, you know, we probably would make them give, you know, in those days, they've already, like the utility companies, they already have. One of the key things is with a road opening permit is also to make sure that we have an insurance certificate on file for a contractor working in our road, to make sure we have that. And all the utility companies already have that. We have it on file. So, you know, those circumstances, we usually don't require a utility company to have to, if they're working on our project and doing our work and they're following our plans,
And putting our paving back to our original standards.
So we usually don't ask for permits.
And that project may not happen for 5 years.
By that time, it'll be an old road.
That's true, that's true. But for the construction of a sidewalk, I wouldn't anticipate any utility impacts, if any of the utility impacts. If there's a clean out for a sanitary or a valve box, you know, that will just be incorporated on the surface. They wouldn't be, impacting the road itself.
Okay, thank you.
So is there a consensus to bring this to the next meeting for introduction?
Yes.
All right, very good. Now we're moving on to the hearing of citizens. They want to come forward. Seeing none, we'll close it out. We're going to be breaking off to executive session. Greg, you want to read us that, please?
Resolution 2017-P-14, resolution of the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, authorizing conference of the Township Committee with the public excluded. Whereas NJSA 10:4-12 of the Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham, County of Morris, State of New Jersey as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of the specified subject matter. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Litigation in the matter of the Township of Chatham for a judgment of compliance of its third round housing element and fair share plan, docket number MRS-L-1659-15. It is anticipated that the minutes on the subject matter of the executive session will be made public upon conclusion of the matter under discussion, and in any event, when appropriate pursuant to NJSA 10:4-7 and 4-13, the committee will come back into regular session and may take further action. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
A motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ritter?
Yes.